You know, I sometimes think the tyrants of the past would envy how easy control has become. They had to build prisons, armies, propaganda machines. They had to break bones and spirits. We've outdone them with nothing more than a screen and a subscription plan. Nobody has to silence you anymore. They just have to keep you comfortable. That's the genius of the age control, without pain, obedience without fear. You don't need chains when you have choices, and you don't need police when everyone's too entertained to care. Look around. The modern citizen isn't oppressed, he's occupied. He's too busy binge-watching, scrolling, upgrading, optimizing. The revolution was postponed because the new season dropped. Fear used to keep people quiet. Now comfort does. The system learned that if it gives you endless convenience, you'll give it your attention, your data, your time, hell, even your inner life, and call it freedom. We're not living under dictatorships. Pass us, we're living in a theme park. And the ticket price is your mind. The philosopher Herbert Marcuse called it repressive desublimation, the idea that the system lets you indulge your desires so you'll never use them to resist. That's what we've built, a world of instant gratification where every hunger gets fed and no hunger becomes dangerous. They let you have pleasure so you'll forget you were supposed to have power. You can have any opinion you want as long as it doesn't cost anyone a dime. You can shout into the void, rage online, laugh at memes, mocking authority, and it all just feeds the machine. Rebellion has become content, and comfort is the new censorship. The worst part is that it works because it feels good. Nobody forces you to stay plugged in. You want to be. The screen glows like a campfire, and we gather around it, hypnotized by our own reflections. We're promised connection, but we get consumption. We're promised choice, but we get compulsion. Every little convenience, every skip ad button, every dopamine drop is another layer of velvet around the cage. You don't even notice you're trapped because the bars feel like pillows. And if you think I'm exaggerating, try turning it off. Try sitting alone in silence for an hour. See how fast your skin itches for stimulation. We've been trained to mistake boredom for pain. But boredom is where thought begins, where freedom might still hide. The system can't control a mind that can sit still. It can only entertain the restless. That's why they'll keep you happy. Happy people don't question. Happy people don't rebel. Happy people buy. I don't say this as a preacher. I say it as someone who's tired. Tired of watching a generation drugged on content, numbed by the noise of its own laughter. We don't need more pleasure. We need presence. We don't need another distraction. We need discomfort. Because discomfort wakes you up. It makes you ask the questions that comfort smothers. So when they tell you to relax, to stream, to chill, ask yourself who benefits from your silence. Maybe the new act of resistance isn't shouting in the streets. Maybe it's simply refusing to be entertained to death. Maybe it's turning off the screen long enough to remember you were supposed to be alive. You ever notice how freedom feels a lot like sitting on the couch? You've got the whole world in your hands, every movie ever made, every song ever recorded, a million opinions for every thought you could possibly have. Infinite choice, infinite control. And yet, somehow, you're still sitting there staring at the same blue glow like it's a fireplace in a world that forgot fire was real. You can binge anything, buy anything, say anything, and it all feels like freedom until you realize it's just motion without movement. I call it the entertainment prison. It's beautiful, comfortable, and no one wants to leave. There are no guards because the door is wide open. You don't need guards when no one wants to escape. We're pacified by pleasure, small, constant doses of it like morphine for the soul. And the thing about morphine is that it doesn't make you happy. It just makes you stop caring that you're not. The empire doesn't have to threaten you anymore. It just keeps you entertained. And entertainment, when it becomes constant, stops being fun. It becomes structure. It becomes control. The Roman emperors knew it. Bread and circuses, they called it. Keep the people fed and amused, and you can run an empire in peace. But what they couldn't dream of was a circus that followed you home, that lived in your pocket, that remembered what kind of jokes made you laugh. The algorithm is the new emperor. It doesn't rule by decree. It rules by prediction. It knows when you're lonely before you do. It feeds you distractions like comfort food, sweet, warm, and empty. And it doesn't need to force anything. You volunteer. You scroll because you want to. That's the trick you think you're choosing, but the menu was written for you long before you sat down. And here's the cruel poetry of it. Every act of distraction feels like self-expression. You pick your shows, your playlists, your brands, your identity. You think, this is me. But if everyone's watching different content that serves the same function to keep them docile, passive, quiet, then it's not expression, it's sedation. The system doesn't care what flavor of distraction you like, as long as you stay distracted. A million choices that all lead to the same nowhere. Sometimes I imagine what it would look like if people just stopped. If the screens went dark for a day, no streams, no noise, no digital laughter echoing through the void, I think there'd be panic at first. We wouldn't know what to do with the silence. But maybe after a while, someone would look around and realize they hadn't felt anything real in years. The boredom might sting, but that sting would be proof of life. I'm not preaching abstinence from technology. I'm not that naive. I'm saying know the difference between pleasure and pacification, between life and its simulation. The screen gives you the illusion of participation. You like, you share, you react. But it's a mirror trick. The world doesn't change when you scroll. Only your sense of urgency disappears. And if I'm honest, I get it. I've sat there too, letting the noise drown the quiet, because the quiet can be unbearable. But the quiet is where you find yourself again. Maybe that's the real rebellion now, to stop consuming long enough to start feeling. Because if the empire's greatest weapon is distraction, then maybe the simplest act of resistance is to pay attention. Really, painfully, attentively pay attention. You ever notice how the system doesn't tell you to shut up anymore? It just tells you to chill out. Relax, you've earned it. Treat yourself. Don't overthink it. That's not advice, that's policy. That's the new language of power, not commands, but comforts. Pleasure feels private, but it's political now. Every craving, every click, every little dopamine drip is a vote, and you're voting for your own pacification. Nobody has to censor you when you're too content to care. That's the trick. They've turned happiness into a strategy. The system learned something ancient tyrants never could. You can't rule modern people with fear alone. Fear sparks rebellion. Pleasure keeps you docile. So they built a world where pleasure never ends, only refreshes. We live in a feedback loop of gratification. The next purchase, the next show, the next scroll. It's all designed to keep you feeling okay. Not ecstatic, not fulfilled, just okay enough not to notice what's missing. Power doesn't need to repress you if it can gently sedate you. You don't rebel when you're relaxed, you shop. And don't think this is accidental, it's engineered. Your emotions are managed like a global resource. Outrage, desire, curiosity, all processed, categorized, monetized. The news feeds you just enough chaos to keep you scrolling, but not enough to make you march. The culture keeps you angry in a safe way, comfortable in a dangerous way. You're allowed to scream into the void, as long as you don't step away from the screen. That's not liberation, that's emotional management. It's power wearing a friendly smile, selling you balance. The word self-care used to mean taking care of yourself. Now it means buying things for yourself. Every bubble bath and mindfulness app is another brick in the wall of managed emotion. You're not supposed to fix the world, just your mood. The system whispers you can't change anything, but you can feel better about it. And you do. You scroll, you meditate, you post an inspirational quote, and for a moment the ache quiets down. But it's not peace, it's numbness with good branding. And if you think you're above it, that you're too awake for manipulation, let me ask you, when's the last time you sat in real silence without reaching for a screen? When's the last time you felt boredom instead of distracting it? Pleasure has become the perfect leash, invisible, comfortable, and self-imposed. The market doesn't force you to obey. It teaches you to crave obedience. You keep feeding the machine because the machine keeps feeding you pleasure. A perfect circle of sweet submission. I suppose that's what scares me most. We don't live under tyranny. We live under contentment. We've traded fear for comfort and called it progress. And I get it. It's hard to walk away from pleasure. It's soft, warm, familiar. It's easier than the truth. But sometimes I think the only way to wake up is to risk feeling bad again, to let discomfort do its work, to let pain mean something. Because pleasure, when it's everywhere, stops being freedom. It becomes governance. And if I sound bitter, I'm not. I'm just tired of watching smart people turned into spectators, full of desire but empty of will. The machine doesn't keep you silent, it keeps you smiling. And maybe, just maybe, the most radical act left is to stop smiling back. You know, I keep hearing that everyone just wants to be happy. I just want to be happy, they say, like it's some kind of moral virtue. But I have to ask, what kind of happiness are we talking about? The kind that burns, confuses, and wakes you up at 3 a.m.? Or the kind that numbs you just enough to get through another day? Because we've built a civilization that sells the second kind, the tranquilized kind, the kind that doesn't hurt, doesn't doubt, doesn't think. We've replaced joy with sedation and called it progress. Somewhere along the way, happiness stopped being a state of being and became a product line. It's got a logo now, a color palette, and a monthly subscription. The happiness they sell you is safe, predictable, repeatable, algorithmically delivered. It's not the wild, chaotic happiness of being alive. It's the calm hum of being distracted. You don't chase dreams anymore. You stream them. Every platform, every brand, every self-help guru whispers the same thing. Relax, you've earned this. But what have we earned, really? The right to drift through life without ever being disturbed? Real happiness, the kind that mattered to the philosophers I admired, Nietzsche, Kierkegaard. Even that dour old Marx wasn't comfortable. It was dangerous. It required friction, contradiction, even suffering. It asked you to confront meaning, not mute it. But our culture doesn't want that. It wants you to be pleasant, not passionate, happy, consumers, not restless thinkers. Because restless thinkers make noise. They ask questions. And you can't sell peace of mind to someone who's already at war with the world's illusions. We've mistaken sedation for serenity. You can see it in people's eyes, that soft glaze of the endlessly entertained. They're content, but not alive. They're calm, but not free. Netflix asks, are you still watching? And of course we are. We're always watching screens, feeds, lives that aren't ours. Watching has become the new form of participation. You don't need to live when you can observe. It's easier that way. Less risk, less pain, fewer consequences. Just the steady drip of curated pleasure, like a slow, beautiful euthanasia. The problem with constant happiness is that it erases the contrast that makes life mean anything. Without grief, love turns shallow. Without frustration, progress turns meaningless. Without boredom, creativity dies. We've anesthetized every emotion that might teach us something. Our comfort has become a coffin lined with soft pillows. The question isn't whether we're entertained, it's whether we're awake. And maybe that's the tragedy of it all. You can't wake a person who loves their dream. They'll fight you for it, defend their own sedation as freedom. I know, because I've done it too. I've taken the easy way out, the comfort, the routine, the illusion that everything's fine. But sometimes, late at night, when the noise finally stops, there's that faint hum of unease. That's consciousness knocking. That's the part of you that still wants to live, not just exist. So maybe the goal isn't to be happy all the time. Maybe the goal is to feel fully, painfully, beautifully alive, to risk sadness, anger, confusion, because those are the signs that you're awake. Happiness that never wavers isn't happiness at all. It's anesthesia with good marketing. And if I can tell you one thing, it's this. Don't trade your awareness for comfort. Don't let them drug your mind with convenience. The world doesn't need more happy people. It needs more awake ones. You know, people talk about waking up like it's some sort of epiphany, light bursting through the clouds, angels humming, everything suddenly clear. But waking up hurts. It's not enlightenment, it's a hangover. You open your eyes and the world stings. You realize how long you've been asleep? How much of your life has been spent on autopilot, scrolling, buying, laughing at things you don't actually find funny? Real awakening isn't bliss, it's nausea. But maybe nausea is what we need, because at least it means we're feeling again. That's the part they don't tell you. Feeling is dangerous. It's inefficient. You can't schedule it, monetize it, or optimize it for engagement. Real emotion, grief, anger, awe, love, it doesn't sell. So they dulled it. They replaced the sharp edges of experience with a soft, sweet fog of entertainment. Pain got rebranded as negativity. Boredom became a problem to solve, and outrage was packaged as a hashtag. We live in an age where everything's felt just enough to post about, but never enough to change anything. The system doesn't fear your suffering. It fears your sensitivity, because feeling too deeply might wake you up to how absurd this all is. We've been trained to run from discomfort like it's death. The moment something hurts, we reach for a distraction, a screen, a drink, a purchase, a joke. But pain isn't the enemy. Pain is proof that you're alive. It's the body's rebellion against numbness. The soul saying, I'm still here. The Greeks had a word for this, pathos. It's where we get empathy. To feel is to be connected to each other, to the world, to meaning itself. Without pathos, there's no depth. Just surface, shiny, smooth, silent. Maybe the most radical act left is to let yourself feel fully, to sit in silence without trying to fix it, to let boredom stretch until it cracks open into thought, to let anger burn long enough to reveal what's worth fighting for, to let sadness linger until it turns into compassion. We're so used to emotional fast food quick hits of stimulation that keep us from hunger that we've forgotten what real nourishment feels like. Feeling deeply isn't indulgence, it's resistance. Because when pleasure becomes the cage, pain might just be the key. I know it's not a comfortable message. I'm not offering you enlightenment. I'm offering you irritation. But irritation is the beginning of philosophy. It's the small electric jolt that says, something's wrong here. That's where thought begins, not in clarity, but in discomfort. Every great idea, every revolution, every moment of moral courage started with someone feeling something they weren't supposed to. So if you find yourself uneasy, restless, even angry right now, good. That means there's still blood in you. The world doesn't need more positivity. It needs people who can feel through the fog of convenience. People who won't trade empathy for comfort or awareness for calm. The heart was never meant to be optimized for efficiency. And I'll be honest, sometimes I envy the numb. Life would be easier that way. But then I remember, easy isn't worth it. Feeling hurts, but it's the only thing that makes being human bearable. So if you're still capable of pain, of boredom, of outrage, hold on to it. That's your proof of life. The system wants you anesthetized, not alive. So don't give them that victory. Stay raw, stay human. Feel everything, even the parts that break you. That's the beginning of freedom.